welcome to my channel. Today I will finally be doing a tour of this sketchbook I finished several months ago. I started in November 2019 and finished it last July, but never got around to filming it until now. Oops. This is a Stillman and Birn beta series sketchbook, which I got intending to use as an ugly sketchbook. At that time, I was getting into watercolor, and my main sketchbook was this Masri mixed media one, which I wanted to use for very pretty, detailed, polished pieces. However, this meant I didn't really have a good place to practice wet media since my ugly sketchbook at that time did not take watercolor well. I figured I'd invest in a proper watercolor sketchbook, so I decided on this one. The sketchbook is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, softcover, 270 GSM cold press. I think it was around $20 to $25 on Amazon. I'm not sponsored, by the way. At that time, I wasn't too picky about watercolor paper quality since I was going to use this for experiments anyway, so I got the job done. Interestingly enough, as you'll see later, the pieces in here ended up being quite polished, so I actually look back on the sketchbook quite fondly. Let's flip through it. Okay, so the first page we have a sticker from my washi tape that I sell. Usually I don't really put stickers on sketchbooks, but maybe I'll start to more. Here we have the first drawing, which already is pretty polished. So this is Tsuyu from Twice. And for whatever reason, I always want to start off the first page of a sketchbook and make it look really, really nice. Like, some people are kind of scared of the first page because it's like, oh no, what if I mess up and like now I've ruined my whole sketchbook. So people will like skip the first page, but I was like, nah, we're just gonna hard commit to making something pretty. And then later I'll like make ugly stuff. So yeah, the first date on here was 11/11/2019. Afterwards we have Nayoung from Twice. So I think these are both from the like Feel Special era. And then after that I was like, okay, now we'll make whatever experiments and stuff. So here's just some color testing with gouache. You can tell that I was like really scared about trying to make my darks dark or like make my mixes like more opaque. So they're still quite watery because I was more used to watercolor at the time. So another gouache study using some photos from Pinterest. And then this is, yeah, I did these once the pandemic hit. So for a good chunk of this is just like stuff I did in 2020 or 2021. So these are done in April. And this was, I had just watched Kiki's Delivery Service because every time I feel kind of art blocked, I just like go back and watch it because she basically deals with the same thing. And so I did some screen cap studies from there. I remember during the summer, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna send mail to people. So I made little prints of this and just sent it to friends. Yeah, I was like, I feel like a lot of people do screenshot studies of Kiki, but I don't really see these two scenes. Like, people usually do her house at the beginning, or like her with flowers and kind of stuff like that. But I was like, nah, we're gonna do these ones. This is a 6 fan arts page. So at that time, this was like a little trending thing. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's do it too. And I asked my followers on Instagram to suggest some characters for me. So I think we have Star Guardian Soraka, Howl, Kyubey, Asuka, Samus, Corona. I haven't played Final Fantasy 12, so this guy, I don't remember what his name is. It's either like Balthazar or something, I don't know. And then Princess Serenity, a few more on this page too. So Nausicaa. One of my friends suggested Harriet Tubman. I was like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. Pearl, and then this character might be named like Ryoko or something, I don't actually know. Here we have yet another Ghibli study. So this one's from Howl's Moving Castle. This one was, I think I was finally understanding like how thick gouache needs to be. So you can see in her skirt, like the texture is much more of like a flat color than like here, for example. So in some of these, they're still like, I'm like getting there, but I'm not quite at like full opacity yet. So this is what we got from there. Yes, and then here I decided to buy the Himi gouache set, like the jelly gouache set. At that time, I had already had 2 gouache palettes. So one was like this Caran d'Ache one, and then one was a set of Holbein tubes. So I was like, I don't need to get more gouache. But then one YouTube video I watched, in that one, the person had been using the Miya Himi gouache, and they were like, Because there's so much paint in each well, they don't feel like they're wasting paint, and it's not very expensive either. It's probably like $20 or something for the whole set of what, like 18 colors. And so they were like, this allows me to just kind of freely work and experiment without worrying about wasting materials. And I was like, you know what, I can get behind that, so I ordered it. Here we have Aerith and Aerith in Her Garden from Final Fantasy VII Remake. So the remake had just come out, and like I got to that garden area, I was like, this is the prettiest thing ever. So I even started trying to rebuild it in my Animal Crossing island, but that is still not done. This I actually sell as a print in my shop, so I'll link that below. And then these were, I was trying to draw people because gouache faces are so hard for me, so I was like, you know what, let's just try it. So this is, I think this is just a picture of Lux from League, and this is some random Pinterest picture, and clearly it did not go well. So this is what I mean by like, there's pretty pages and there's like ugly pages in here too, which is what I intended. So this was another trend at the time. It was like the redraw Sailor Moon or whatever. And so a lot of people had done really pretty ones. Some people started doing really memey ones, and I decided I wanted to do a pretty one. So here she is. I do like how I shaded her shadows with this purple color. That's kind of how I shade skin tones a lot. And then I was also really happy with how I mixed this blonde color, like this light golden color. Yellows are just a struggle for me, so somehow this like white and yellow mixed together with maybe some warm tones in it helped a bit. This thing, I'm pretty sure I looked at, there's a photo, there's a screenshot in Totoro where it's like the little cave that Mei runs into when she like first goes and meets Totoro. So I looked at that and I was trying to just like recreate it, but with blues instead. So it just looks like, I don't know, like a black cloud tornado. It's kind of ugly. Here's a character I had drawn in a previous sketchbook. I liked it and I tried to replicate her. Ah yes, and this is when I fell very deep into the Untamed and like Mo Daozu's stuff. So here we have Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian. I don't like how his likeness looks. Like I think his likeness is alright, his is not good. And this is where I was like, you know what, we're gonna finally start using black in my paintings. So because in high school when I was taking the one drawing and painting class for learning gouache, the teacher always told us to use ultramarine blue and burnt umber for our dark mixes. So that's what I usually use for most of my shadow mixes. Like even if it's black, I'll like start with those and like probably not use black. But then here I was like, you know what, there's so much black that I have to cover, I'm just gonna try. So this is where I finally started using black paint. Here's another sketch of those two. This one I think I captured their likeness a lot better. But you can tell that I'm kind of reverting back to my watercolor habits because I'm still just not used to gouache faces at this point. This is the main person in Valorant. I don't even remember her name, Jet or something. I don't play Valorant, but I really liked the art style in their, like on their website and just like in their promo items. The way that like the colors, the shadows are very, I guess like saturated in a way. So it's like they're not using blacks necessarily, but they're using like a blue color. So I just really liked that and wanted to practice emulating it. Here we have more Wei Wuxian. So this was, I think I found a Pinterest photo of someone playing the flute and then I just drew him in it. But yeah, just black paint. So getting more used to covering large areas with thick mixes. And then here is a screenshot redraw. So this is the part towards the end when they go back to Yunmeng. I can't remember everything's names anymore. But they go back there and then they like, they bow 3 times for like his past parents and stuff. And this was quite the sketchbook study. Like usually when I'm doing perspective stuff, I don't really pull out a ruler, but this one I was like, I have to, like, to get this line, these parallel lines, the floor lines. There's just a lot going on in this picture. So it took me a while to do this one, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. Here we have various sketches. I think they are mostly just like Pinterest references. This is another guy from Mo Daozu's, because I had watched the live action before I watched the donghua, so Here is, I think it's Suzui. I actually don't remember anything anymore. Yeah, trying to draw flowers because I think they're still impossible to draw. This is a study of a photo I took in like Mexico several years ago. We went to this park called Xcaret, and it's kind of like a theme park slash like nature-y park slash cultural park. So it's pretty cool. And this was on this like mini river cruise excursion thing. So in 2019, towards the beginning of the year, I had tried to draw this with watercolor, but I didn't like how it turned out. And I was like, you know what, let's try it again with gouache. So I still don't love it, but I was like, you know what, it's better than before, so we'll take it. Here's Zhang Yunli when she's like, it was the part in The Untamed where she like goes up to Wei Wuxian and is like, hey, I'm getting married, and she like, this is her like wedding outfit. Here we have some hydrangeas. So I want to do a hydrangea themed spread because, so this one is a redraw of a piece I did in 2011 when I studied abroad in Japan. I stayed with my host family, and one of the first days there, I think my host family was busy, so they dropped me off with a neighbor, and the neighbor took me on this small like river cruise around Matsue. That's where we were. And this was one of the photos I took during that. I was like, you know what? I drew it then, like while I was in Japan, and then I was like, I'm gonna draw it again. And this time it turned out a lot better than before. So I was like, wow, I have learned a lot. Yeah, doing redraws is nice because you see the progress you made. Like it's like where you were then, try it again, you're like, wow, I have improved. But yeah, this is some hydrangeas just to go with these hydrangeas. More Modao Zusi. This is like Lan Wangjing being sad that Wei Wuxian's like becoming the Yiling Laozu, and it's just like, alright, I'm gonna leave. He's like, no, don't. These two are a cliff waterside area in Taiwan. I don't remember the exact name. I think this one was like Shi Ti Ping or something like that. I'll put it up on the screen. But I took these photos during a trip to Taiwan several years ago and was like, all right, we're just gonna keep doing landscape studies. So I actually really like how I did the water here. So it's pretty thick layers of gouache. It's not like super thick, but it's thicker. And then I was getting a better feel for how to vary kind of the values. So it's like, here's a lighter gray, here's like a medium gray, here's a darker gray. And then same with the water, there's like darker values, like medium values, and then lighter highlights like strewn in there. Here's Kai from EXO. Practicing people. Every time the people ones, I'm just like, these are not very good, but whatever. These two photos were taken by my friend Candice, so she does a lot of photography, you should check her out. And she like sometimes will just post pictures and I'll just ask her like, hey, can I do a study of this? She's always happy to let me do it. So this is like a little train track thing. This was, I think, at an ice cream store, I don't remember. But for this one, I wanted to try using more squared up strokes. So you can tell that although these are clouds, I used like something like this where it's like not a round brush to just like put the strokes in there. Same with the balloons. So balloons are round, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna try making them square. And then what was this? Oh yeah, so these were in September 2020, and then suddenly we jumped to December because I just stopped drawing in there for some reason. Oh, I think I know why. It was because I was doing Landscape-tober. Yeah. So in October, in September, I was still drawing normally. And then in October, I painted every day, but in a different sketchbook. So let me know if you want to see a flip through of that one. That one's not done yet, but if you're interested, I can flip through what is already in there so far. So these, I was following along to a YouTube video of, it was like a YouTube tutorial for how to draw flowers and stuff. So usually I don't follow along to tutorials, but I was like, you know what? I'm so lost when it comes to specific detailed branches, twigs, flowers, and trees. So that's what this was. Because at that time I wanted to make a little Christmas card to send to friends. So I drew some poinsettias. So I think this was the draft of it. It was like based off this one pot of poinsettias I bought. Here I had started a class 101 class. It was by Noma. It was this gouache one. I was like, perfect. I really like her art a lot. You can look her up here on YouTube. but her stuff is just like her illustrations are really detailed. The colors are really built up, and I was like, yeah, I would love to learn how to paint like you. So it was like some of the early lessons in these types of classes are all basics. So it's like, here's how you fill in a circle, here's how you would fill in a square, here's like a round brush, use a flat brush, and just kind of experiment like that. Use a fine brush. And then more lessons from that class. So this one just had to do with different values based on like light sources, right? So it's like the light's coming from up top. So the top ones are going to be lighter, maybe the sides are like a bluish. So even just from doing these studies, I could tell, like, I learned how she mixes, which is very different from how I was used to mixing. It was like just the color she used, and like the way she would like maybe only add a small bit of pigment of a different color and like mix it in and then paint it on and then build on top of that. So it's like a lot of building and layering, which is pretty different from what I did. Here's some figure studies, because I think the next chapter was figure related. Oh, and then here's a study of my friend Catherine. I think this jumps into 2021 now, so January 2021. It's my first painting that year. And it's my friend Catherine. So Candace took the photo with Catherine, and I was like, Catherine, you look amazing in this. Can I draw you? And they were both like, yeah. So here's that. This is another Class 101 study. I'm just like, man, if I could figure out how to do this without following along to someone, that would be amazing. Just gotta study more. Okay, this fell out, but I will put that back in at some point. So here is more Class 101 stuff, and then Ganyu from Genshin. So this was here, and it just fell off, but I put this here so that these two pages like wouldn't rub together and ruin each other, because I'm like, I like her face a lot. So yeah, this one I was actually really happy with how her face turned out. So I was like, after taking this class, just like learning how to like blend up and down and stuff. But this one, the main different thing that I did here was I still kept the skin layer really watery, which meant that the white of the paper would shine through a lot. So that way I kept the peachy tones. So I'm like, all right, maybe I can do that again. But I like the way I did her hair too. I was really happy with this piece. This one's also available as a print in my shop. Oh, also funny thing about this one. So this was the day her first banner released. It was either this day or the next day, I don't know. But I basically, when I took a shower, I had an idea for drawing this. And then I worked on it from like midnight till like 4 a.m. So I was like, all right, in classic Ganyu fashion, where you just don't sleep and you just all-nighter it, we drew her. It's like, I'm in solidarity with you, please come home. But she did not come home. Here is Jimin from BTS. This is, I think, his outfit in Dope. Dope is still my favorite BTS song. That's like kind of when I started listening to them, around 2016. And then here's another Class 101 study where it was just focusing on like a type of light source. So it's like, here's some diffuse light around it. Here's like direct light right around the lamp, clear jar. Here I was trying to thumbnail for this other Genshin piece I was doing. So I based it off of this one reference photo that Candace took, and then I took a bunch of screenshots in the game of the area, like, because it was like for the Lantern Rite Festival. So if you're unfamiliar with the game, basically in the game there's like this Chinese New Year-esque festival, so there's more like lanterns and bright lights and stuff. So I took some screenshots in there to reference it and roughly plan out what I wanted to draw. Here we have, what is this, March and April-ish. So this is Wen Kuxing from Word of Honor. I was like, I just really appreciate his energy. He's always just going for it. He's like, I'm gonna shoot my shot every single day, all the time. So I painted him. Here's Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, I got into Jujutsu Kaisen around April that time. And then I think I watched the whole thing very quickly, like in a week or two, and then went back and rewatched the scenes that I wanted to watch because the animation is just amazing to look at. So highly recommend this anime if you're looking for some action-packed, just flowy fight scenes. Here we have two Genshin landscape studies. So this one is a waterfall area by like the Oceanid boss. This is probably my favorite piece in this whole sketchbook. I don't know, it was like, I think, yeah, at that time I was going through some stuff, so I was like, I just need to sit down one day and just process everything and just paint. So that's what I did. It was just raw, like I'm just gonna put colors on the paper. And I had posted it to Hoyo Lab, which is like MiHoYo / Genshin's like own social media platform, and it got featured, so that made me really happy as well. But yeah, I really like the way I did the mountains. So it's just like adding purples mixed with browns, putting some like darks here and there. The way that this water looks, like the color, I somehow managed to mix this like very clear, crisp color. Like in this game, it's just really pretty. Like all the landscapes are really pretty. Just the way that they're very bright and saturated colors. Especially like this region, it's like the Liyu region. This is also from that same region. So there's a lot of like, it's inspired by like Chinese stone mountains and stuff. And so the colors are very like yellow, there's like blues and greens mixed in there. And I tend to struggle with mixing blues and greens, or not blues, but like yellows and greens. And I think this one, stuff just like worked out. I don't know, something clicked and I was like, here we go. This one I didn't like as much, but it was still fun to do. This is a different area in that game. Oh yeah, I think this was here, and then, yes, this was here. Okay, yeah, I put these papers in here just to make sure that they don't like rub against each other. This is another Genshin landscape. This is the tree where like Ajdaha is. He's like this big dragon boss guy. And I was like, this is a very interesting, unique tree. Actually, Genshin has so many unique trees. Like I had painted a previous one in one of my other videos, like the perch. And there's a few more that I want to paint too. But basically, like, I don't remember the exact story behind this tree, but it was like something about the energy was corrupted and that's why there's like this, you know, big branch coming out of it. And then when you fight the boss that's by this, his tail is this end of this tree basically. So there's like this little, I don't know, glass crystal looking branch section that changes elements depending on the week. Yeah, I think it's pretty fun making this type of texture on rocks where I just use a flat brush and make it like kind of layered. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm happy with the contrast in this one. A lot of people seem to like this at conventions too, so I have prints of this in my shop as well. This is another Noma study, so it was like what was it, just like placing objects in a room. This took me a while to get to because I was like, I do not have the desire to just draw still lifes basically, but made it through. Yeah, like the way she renders like wood floors, I guess, is super interesting. It's like she'll put down a layer of something, put down like a lighter color, but then like put the dark color again. And you can't really see it in mine, but like in hers, you can really see all the like the different reflections and colors, like just kind of shining through the different layers. Kind of like this, where it's like you can see some of the underneath color here and here. I don't know, it just feels more real the way she does it. Oh, this back here. Here we have two Ghibli studies. So this one is Howl and Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. I was like, you know what? I haven't done like a screen cap redraw in a little while. And I rewatched that movie and was like, all right, let's go for it. Because I was like trying to practice drawing pretty boys. And finally, it was like, I think after April last year, I like figured out how to draw pretty boys. Like something clicked and I was like, all right, they're no longer just impossible. This one is a scene from Totoro. It's at the way beginning when they're driving their truck to their new house. And this one was a struggle because, so I used the Himi, like Miya jelly gouache for this. And the greens in there, I cannot figure out. Like, what, they both feel the same. Unless you use like one of the lighter greens, or yeah, it's like the two main greens in there, they just feel the same. So I was having trouble mixing colors that seemed different. Like they kind of look different here, but I think that's because I added other colors. Like there's blues in these ones, or like black in these ones, and there's like yellow or white in some of these. But I googled a video at that time of like how to mix green, and they were like, never use the green paint, just like use yellow and blue. And I was like, god dang it. And then here's the last page. This is also a class 101 study, so it was like do something naturey. I was like, thank God, that's something I actually know how to do. It's not like people or indoors and stuff. So I enjoyed working on this one. Yep, July 2021. And here's another like washi tape sticker. Ah yes, I wrote it down. 8/11. I don't know why that doesn't line up. Maybe I did. Oh, I finished this one in August. There we go. So there. And that's the end of the tour. Overall, I really enjoyed working in this sketchbook, and I definitely buy another in the future. Right now I'm using one that has watercolor paper that's kind of textured in a way that makes me not like it as much. I guess it feels weird to use pencil in, which is kind of a drawback for me. Flipping back through the sketchbook, I realize how much I do prefer this sort of rough but not too textured paper, since it feels good to sketch on with pencil as well as paint on. Maybe another reason I like this one so much is that it was my main companion during lockdown. The majority of works in here are from 2020, and whenever I flip through it, I remember not how much being cooped up sucked, but rather how much fun I had genuinely just making art with no ulterior motives. There weren't cons I had to prep for, or people I was trying to impress. I had all the time in the world, so I just sat down and let myself get carried away in the creative process. As things have opened back up, I find myself drawing to impress people again, and I feel like I've kind of lost this sort of connection I had with my sketchbook. I can't help but see it as a means to create content for social media, which makes me not want to work in it. But part of growing is figuring out why things aren't working and learning to adapt, so I'll keep on trying till I click with my next sketchbook. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble. Let me know in the comments if you have a preferred sketchbook or if you have ideas for what I should draw in mine. Be sure to follow me on Instagram if you'd like to see more of my sketchbook and other artwork, and check out my shop for prints of some of these pieces. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.